Wait a minute, what's going on here? Who's this guy?
Who that is? Who in the world is this guy? Who is this?
Wait, man. Y'all didn't know? Man, let me catch you up to speed. It's Just Sports with BJ Perkins. Y'all need to know.
It's time for the greatest sports show on the planet. Just Sports with BJ Perkins.
That's right. Welcome in to the second episode of Just Sports with yours truly, every single Sunday from 4 to 5 on kmhc.org, The Q. So today we got a great show planned. We're talking Blazers. We're talking NBA playoffs. We're talking Mariners. I even have a special little movie review for all you guys out there. NFL draft. What was going on with that? What did the Seahawks do? What's important? I'm also joined right now in studio by David Mast, host of Hometown Sports with David Mast. What's up, man?
Not much, BJ. Just hanging out, enjoying the Blazers' victory, getting ready for Game 5.
Perfect, and let's get right into that. You know, a lot has happened since my last show last Sunday when I predicted the Blazers to lose in 5 or 6 games. I said, you know, the Blazers can't win without Brandon Roy, and they proved me right and they proved me wrong at the same time because Game 1 comes out. I was with you, David, in the Rose Garden, cheering along with everyone else as they upset the Suns in Game 1. And it was an upset, beating the Suns on their home turf in the first game. But they come out in the second game, maybe with a little bit too big of a head, or whatever you want to call it. But they get blown out of the water, David. And then in Game 3, they also get blown out of the water.
I think what happened in Game 2 is Nate McMillan was satisfied with that Game 1 victory, and we just came out flat in Game 2, saying, okay, we got our split of the 2 games at Phoenix, and then we're going to go back to Portland, hopefully win both games there, go back to Phoenix, you know. But then Game 3, there's no excuse for losing by 25 points on your home floor at all. I don't care if you've won Game 1 or not. Now you're down 2-1 in the series, and they get a pretty good victory in Game 4 with Brandon Roy, who had 10 points. That's not a lot, but just him being on the floor made a difference.
Yeah, and this is kind of what I've made of the Blazers, is they can win a game without Brandon Roy here and there. They can put their heart and all of their emotions into a game and come out with a victory one time. And that's what happens. Every time he goes down, they get that big win. Last year was against the Celtics. This year they did it as well before the playoffs when Brandon Roy went out. But they struggle without him during long stretches.
I was just going to say that when you were talking about that, doing that sense, that they can win the first game like they did in this series. I predicted it by 5. I got the score a little bit wrong, but I predicted by 5 that we're going to win. You were there. And they did it, and I was really happy. But then Game 2 and 3, I just was like really let down by our performance. We just didn't show any tenacity at all on defense. But now Game 4, we did great. Game 5 is going to be awesome.
Yeah, and here's the thing. I want to talk a little bit about Coach Nate McMillan, who I actually like now more than I did at the beginning of the season, and everyone who knows me knows that I am not a huge Nate McMillan fan, though I don't dislike him. I understand why he might be a Coach of the Year candidate, but this is why he did not win Coach of the Year, because of games like this. I felt like it was Alvin Gentry's job after the first game to counterpunch, and he did that. He made adjustments, putting Grant Hill on Andre Miller, changing up the way they play their offense. They were slowing down. He made them run under any circumstance. He did great at that. Game 3, once again, he came out and did the same thing. It was Nate McMillan's job at that point to make adjustments back for his team. They struggled. They came out with no energy. Blame the players, blame the coach, but I blame the lack of strategy in that game.
It didn't hurt Alvin Gentry in Game 3 that Jason Richardson had 42 points either.
That doesn't hurt him either, but doubling LaMarcus Aldridge, he needs to learn how to pass out of that. But you know what? Game 4 was a great win. I didn't expect it. I'm going to level with you. Even with Brandon Roy coming back, I figured they would probably lose in a close game, but the Blazers proved once again that they can win a game down the stretch, which they had struggled with during the regular season.
Yeah, I was down in Game 4 because I was like, oh man, we're going to get blown out of the water again. We just have no fight left. Injury to Nicholas Batum now. No light at the end of the tunnel for the Blazers. But then I get a text message from my buddy saying Brandon Roy's going to play in the game. I was at Winco at the time. I wasn't on my computer as usual, getting all the latest updates from around the NBA, around the league of professional sports. But that was just a great text I sent all my friends, my Blazer friends anyway, a text, and everybody was pumped up and fired up, and I think that's what fired up the crowd in the end.
Yeah, definitely, but also, I mean, it's definitely Brandon Roy. That is the key to this team's success, and like I said last week, David, you don't win a playoff series missing your 13, 14, $15 million man. That is why he makes that money, is because of the impact he has on the team, whether it's not just necessarily his point total, but everything else. Look at LaMarcus Aldridge's line. 31 points, a new playoff career high, 11 rebounds. That was caused by Brandon Roy being in there. He gave him encouragement, he gave him motivation, and he also cleared up a few double teams for him as well. So I think that this team almost needs to find a way not to depend on him so much, and I almost blame that once again on Nate McMillan a little bit. When you have these strategies where you put players in isolations like Brandon Roy, he's ISO'd all the time, players develop a habit to stand around. Watch Rudy Fernandez. All he does is stand around on the three-point line and wait for the ball to come his way. You need movement to win games, especially against a team like the Suns, who is always active on defense.
Yeah, I was listening to a press conference by Marcus after Game 4, and he's like, well, as soon as Brandon came into the ball game, I got my first open jumper of the game. So that proves just right there. I don't think it's so much Brandon Roy has to score. He just has to be on the floor and be a distraction for those Suns defenders, Grant Hill, Jason Richardson, who has had problems against Brandon Roy in the past. Jason Richardson cannot defend Brandon Roy. Brandon Roy will be off his game in Game 4. I don't expect that in Game 5.
Yeah, well, Brandon Roy was obviously just coming back. He was playing a little bit timid. McMillan didn't even want him to play, as a matter of fact, but Brandon Roy pestered him pretty much into letting him play. But now let's move on to the future, or at least one day in the future, tomorrow.
Yeah.
Will Portland win tomorrow, David, do you think? Or even if they don't win tomorrow, will they win the series?
If they don't win tomorrow, they don't win the series. I don't think you're going to win a Game 7 in Phoenix. So they must win tomorrow and then win Game 6 in Portland, which I don't see as impossible, but I see very hard. Because Phoenix knows that if they win in Game 5, they can go either steal one in Portland or win Game 7 on the home floor. So I'm very nervous. They need to win Game 5.
Yeah, and by the way, if you listening want to give us a comment, please give us a call, 503-491-7419. What do you think about the Blazers? Do you think they're going to take this series after watching them play those first 4 games? Let me know. Let David know. We want to know. But I think the Blazers have a better chance now of winning the series than I did a week ago.
And I actually said they would win the series in 6. I actually called that on my show, Hometown Sports, at the beginning of the very first game, that they would win it in 6. They just win the first game in Phoenix and then win all 4 in Portland. But they didn't do that, but now they have to go win one more in Phoenix. Game 5, I think they can do it, but I'm trying to be a realist from once in my life. You all know me. I'm mostly a homer here, but I'm trying to be a realist. And if the Blazers do win Game 5, I think they win Game 6 in Portland.
Yeah, and I had the Blazers opposite, losing in 5 or 6 games, so we'll have to see. But now I'm questioning my own ability, because if Brandon Roy comes back in this game, we can definitely win with him on the floor. He is the most